Hello again, Alan. Welcome to the next edition of the Mayor's Minute. I wanted to bring you up to date on some really exciting news. We have a property in town that was, when the town was first formed, it was set aside specifically to help us raise tax revenue and make us a financially viable community. And it's not really attached to any of the rest of the town. It's kind of set off all by itself, close to the Broward County landfill, surrounded by unincorporated Broward County. And it's a property that if you've been in town a long time, you may be familiar with it being called the CCA property, because at one time it was owned by CCA. Through the years, and I won't go into all the details, but we were able to acquire that property excuse me, about 10 years ago. And since then, we've been looking for an appropriate buyer for this property. And just recently, well, actually not so recently, about 2 years ago, we were able to find a buyer for it, but it's taken about 2 years to get the whole transaction completed. And just recently, we ended up actually selling the property. And so we acquired the property for about $8 million, like I said, about 10 years ago, and we just recently sold it for about $16.8 million. So it's worked out well for our town, and so it's really exciting because we're going to be able to do some great things with these funds, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about, is that out of that $16.8 million, about a little less than $6 million is going to go towards our debt. And the exciting thing about that is it's going to totally wipe out our debt. So we will be one of only 5 municipalities in all of Florida that is debt-free, which is really exciting. With the remainder, we're working on a public safety building, a firehouse out on Griffin Road near Bonaventure, but obviously in our town on the south side of Griffin. And the remainder is going to fund the vast majority of that project. And so hopefully we'll be able to complete that project and still remain debt-free, which would be super exciting. But there's actually even more good news financially about this because as part of the deal, they needed wetlands. We had some wetlands in Frontier Trails, which is out west in Country Estates, and they're going to develop those wetlands for us. And that's about another $2 million expense that now the town doesn't need to expend money for as part of this deal. The purchaser of this property is going to expend money on that. Once it's completed, then we will take over the maintenance. So that's another big financial plus for our town. And then finally, there's a couple of smaller ones. Well, maybe, I guess over time they'll be bigger, but smaller up front anyway. One is that once this facility is up and running, and it looks like it's going to be a kind of a distribution facility, similar to the one that you may have seen at 196th and Sterling Road in unincorporated Broward County. Looks like it's going to be a use similar to that, but once that's up and running, 6% of the rental revenue is going to go back to the town. So it's going to be an ongoing stream of income as well. And then finally, if it's ever purchased by another entity down the line, we get 3% of that. Not only the first purchase, but from here on out, if it gets purchased, the town gets 3%. So that can be another big bonus down the line. So a lot of great financial news, a lot of good health and safety news because we get the firehouse built, which is key for us, especially in an emergency situation, to have a Cat 5 building where both fire and our public safety, all of our public safety, the Davie Police can also be as well. So we're really excited about this transaction. It's really transformational for our community, for our town, and it really sets a strong foundation for us going forward. So I wanted to share that with you. Very exciting. Thanks for joining, and have a great rest of your day.